Hey, hi, Anurag, Harsh.
Hello, you right?
Yep,
Hi,
fine.
Dhaval.
So, first question. First, have you guys thought about the question which I have suggested that you guys need to think about it? Like, which kind of design you will do if you will have to do something like rules engine. If you have to specify, and I have given few examples like which kind of rules or rule engine you can think of. Any thought, or we can start today with the same topic. No, but Harsh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, so rules engine wise, so I actually came across something while I was studying dependency injection in .NET Core.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just say that I actually didn't have time. I didn't actually, I forgot about the assignment, sorry.
Yeah, no
So
worries. But yeah, if you have read about, if you have some
yeah,
idea,
yeah.
just let's
So
start discussion. Yeah.
so rules, what I thought was, so there can be like, so for example, especially when you're buying something,
Mm-hmm.
for example, if you bought like something on Amazon, you
Mm-hmm.
can have a voucher. Like, generally nowadays they have introduced a checkbox under the item, and you can add like 10% discount, the 10% voucher, 5% voucher.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that. And then also you can if you have some kind of credit card, I'm just going a bit hypothetical here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can add another voucher, but some vouchers cannot be used with each other. Some vouchers can be used with each other. So the rules that which vouchers can be used and which vouchers cannot be used for which particular product can be like a set of rules, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So the way I also, do you want me to talk about the implementation? Because I think I somewhat know how to.
Yeah. So
I
what are your thoughts on that? So let's say if this kind of rules you want to store somewhere,
Yeah.
how would you go for storing those?
So storing in the database. So I don't know if I'll store it. I don't know if I need to. I will store it in a database. Depends on what kind of how many rules there are.
No,
Um,
obviously. See. Now, when you say how many rules, then just think about it. That let's talk about the same thing. Like let's say Amazon itself
hmm
is selling something,
Yeah.
item A only.
Yeah.
But as it's being sold to India, let's say it's being shipped to India, the
Uh-huh.
shipping charges are extra. And because of that, some rules can be applicable that some vouchers will not be permissible. Just like MX credit card won't be applicable over here. But the same item, if you are sending to US and it's being shipped to US for some state, then the MX card is, let's say, possible. Okay. And also it can be something like that in some state of US, some credit card or some companies are banned or something like that. So because of that, some vouchers you cannot apply over here. So even if it's in the same product, based
Yeah.
upon the shipping location or anything, see, when you think a little bit, uh, okay, what can be the rules can be anything.
hmm
Right. So obviously, when we are applying the final price,
Yeah.
right? So before, let's say your team is there who decides the final price
Yeah.
and takes the payment. So let's say you have an implemented payment gateway, and that is your team. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously they will have to evaluate that. Okay, whatever has been in input, user have selected. Okay, give me 100 rupees discount on that, and as I'm Prime member, give me 30 rupees discount on the delivery as well, something like that. So are they all, whatever has been applied, are they valid or not? Will you check it out?
Yeah.
Right.
It would
So
have to
that
be. Yeah.
checking will be on something rules, right? That you'll
Yeah.
have some rules associated with. So you will have to store it.
You have to store it in the database. There is no other way. I think I was more thinking on storing on the entity side in the class, but when the rules are so many, then database is on the way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
So
now let's think about it. That in low level design, if this kind of question is coming to you guys, that I have this kind of requirement, just design a rule engine for me, or design, or just start discussion. So generally what happens, as I told you, they will say that, okay, I just want to go for this kind of credit card system and something like that. And then gradually when you go, they will say, okay, for this, how will you store the rules? How will you evaluate the rules and something like that? Okay,
Hmm.
so now from the discussion of something of the rule engine, we came on the topic that how will I model my rules? How will I write a class such that rule engine will be evaluated and all that things.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, this rule engine itself, in terms of even high level design, it will be a huge component. Which
Yeah.
kind of design pattern you will apply such that even the rule engine will be the same, but it will be different for different places. As I said, for US the rule engine will be different, from location wise it will be different, but your
So
team will be the same, right? Who is instantiating the or who is hosting the rule engine, right? So which
hmm.
kind of design pattern you will use to facilitate that?
So
uh,
if you want to add loads of different kinds of things, then you use builder, right?
so it's not like always that the builder will be necessary.
Okay.
Like see, builder pattern matlab, I have seen when you want to there is always one type of object and you want to instantiate more or you want to add something into that always. So
Hmm.
over here you have just one type of object rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what right now we think. Now if you think very simply, very simple, I can think also about like keeping an abstract class of rules, and I'm instantiating based upon or creating just like a factory pattern, just like not factory pattern, but just like different objects based upon its location. So
Hmm.
whichever the location will be passed to it, that object will be created, right?
Hmm.
So then the evaluator which I will get, the class instance, that will be of that rule engine. So that can be a very simple thinking pattern behind that as well. But my point is, this such kind of discussion can go into any direction. Now if it is going into some pattern sides, we will see into the next question that, as I said, there are 24 or more than 24 patterns. You guys need to read about it, that which kind of pattern to use when. We'll just give some overview, but the point is, if it goes for LLD, low level design, that how will you store your rules, how will you evaluate your rules, how you should go for it.
Uh, you can have like I don't know if it's the best way, but you can have like like a string which has multiple um, like you know like name of the rule and then some kind of separator and then the value of the rule, and then you can separate them by commas.
Okay, so
Uh,
Harsh, yeah, I'll tell you where you are going. Okay, so what you are going in this direction, that you can have a very simplistic idea. Let's say you have rules table,
yeah,
you have rule name or ID.
yeah,
Let's say rule name, you have an ID
yeah,
associated with it, you have version as well
yeah,
to get the latest version, and the status as well.
yeah.
And you have something like this, that what is the what is the what we can say,
Value
I won't say value, it's something like, let's say,
operations.
so operation, in the sense, let's say you have in a rule something like this: if the credit card spent item or the bill is greater than 5,000, then give 5% discount. Okay, so to store a bill, you have something like this: operand one.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the operation?
Mm-hmm.
Operation one, what is the amount? And what is the operand two? Let's say discount you give or give extra points. So the operand can be benefit, sorry, a discount. Operand can be value added points or something like that. So operand two and value two. So something like that table you will think.
So these are so the operand one, operand two. That's like different columns, or is
Yeah.
it just okay?
So it's like you'll store something like this. So if the bill value is greater than 5,000, then
Yeah. So
discount
something.
should
Okay.
be 5%.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Yeah. Yeah.
bill value is greater than 10,000, then discount is 5,000 plus something else. So in that way, you initially you said that you would like to store.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm asking Anurag and Jose. Jose, I think join. Do you think that this is a valid design? If you draw this, where do you think, all of you three guys, where do you think that it will break? If you remember, Harsh, our discussion was something like this, that
Hmm.
uh, uh, probably that, some two rules you cannot apply together, where that information is stored.
You need another table which says probably which you would need another column here first, which will say like a rule type or another kind of ID which uniquely identifies the rule,
Mhm.
because there are multiple versions, right? So the
Yeah.
same rule can have multiple identifiers. So we need a type identifier, and
Okay.
then you can bind that type identifier in another table,
Mhm.
and with whatever operation, as in like
So
what.
something like that, you want to store that. Let's say valid rules, valid set, or valid invalid sets you want to store somewhere. So something like this you will store that rule number one. So whatever the identifier, let's say ID
Yeah, yeah,
itself is identifier.
yeah, fine, got it.
Okay. So rule
Yeah.
number one, rule number two goes together. Rule number one, rule number five doesn't go together.
So if it doesn't go together, then you don't have to write it down.
So something like that you will store it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. So one thing clear. Second thing, what about the complex rules? If the person who is buying is female and and she is member of the credit card greater than 5 years, and 5,000 limit she has crossed, or 5,000 bill amount is there, then give her 10%. Otherwise, with 5,000, give just 5%.
Yeah, that's why I said like just a string in a column rather than multiple columns. Because
Okay,
when you do like multiple columns, the way you have done, you restrict the number of operations.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
So I
in
when
this
I when you
also,
just do a string and you separate it with any kind of separator, you call it a pipe separator or like a comma
yeah.
separator, you can just split the string and you have multiple rules straight away.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll tell you the same thing. So
Okay.
when I was reading about this rule engines evaluation and all that things,
Yeah.
in previous days when the MySQL and those kind of tables were only better,
Yeah.
people used to design like this and this both.
Okay.
When there are complex rules, they
Yeah.
used to have this kind of design that, okay, if she's female, then there is one rule number one, then rule number two will be also applied, that so operand will be something like this, the, so what we can say, gender equals to female, then nothing, but rule number one is just that, then rule number two will be given as greater than 5 years, then rule number three will be given as greater than 5,000, then discount 5,000. So together one goes with two, one goes with three, and at the end one, two, and three combinedly gives 5%. So something like that also was possible. So you have just one set of one type of things, like as I said, operand one, its value one,
Mm.
then what you can say, just like gender female, then what to do, that kind of thing. Let's say then operand two and value two, and this kind of on a table people were using, but still maintaining it was very difficult,
Yeah, it is very difficult. Yeah.
right? That which
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
will go ahead with which one,
Like you
and
can't
and
even
all
search
that
for it.
things.
It's as if the list grows very long, it just becomes very difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
So
need
then,
categories and subcategories.
yeah, so then the second thing people used to use is the string based, that you use directly like this, that the gender greater than, oh, sorry, gender equals to female, and spending power greater than 5,000 and all that things.
Yeah,
So whichever the complex rules are there, it
yeah,
has been stored as in a one rule,
yeah, exactly.
and you
Yeah,
have
that's
an
what I would do.
evaluator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which will convert the string into like the variable names or something like that. It just becomes
Yes.
very. So you convert. So in C sharp you can do that. So you can pass the like the function name or the class name as a string, and it will just convert it into the actual class.
Okay. Now further question. Do you see problem with this?
Yeah, because if you change the name of the class, then the evaluator will break.
Probably okay. I won't go for the class even. Still with the
Okay.
design. Anurag, Jose?
It's not very extensible, maybe.
Okay, one thing is extensible.
I mean, I don't know. So what is the lifetime of these rules? Like, how long do these rules need to live? It depends on that. If they're use and throw ones, then it doesn't matter. You can do a string or a quick dirty. But if they're going to be like a long-term rules, which might change if when after some time, but you still want it to be configurable, then you would have to think it some other way, where you can recognize it after 6-7 months down the line, because sometimes you don't even remember what you wrote a month ago.
Exactly. So the main, so I was waiting for this thing from Anurag or Jose, that how will you update the rule? It happens, right? That let's say you are creating a rule that, this rule will be applicable on 15th of August.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's the Independence Day sale and some rules you are applying.
Yeah.
So let's say, how will you search about the stale rules, which are present into your rule engine from so long, and
Uh,
how long you'll keep on updating those?
you can add the date, how long it should be valid for.
I won't say date. Sometimes it doesn't happen that the date will be applicable. As I said,
Oh yeah, so hours or any kind of time.
no. So
Okay.
TTL you want to say, right? So so that I won't give any
Okay, fine.
weightage on that. Why? Because some rules can be there for even 5,000 means 500 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say you are the member of some credit card company from let's say Google, right? The Google started from 1980 or 1995 something.
Mm-hmm.
So the people who have got the stocks at that time, and whatever the rules they have set at that time, they would be still preserving, right?
Mm.
Whatever the stocks rules would be there associated with that. So my point is, if you think that, okay, such kind of things would be present with the new companies as well, let's say Jet Airways points are there with you, or any other airline air companies, what we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
say,
yeah.
points you have.
Loyalty points, yeah.
Yeah, so they will be there with you until the company goes down, right? So there we cannot go for TTL or something like that. So point is, then reading those, querying these rules, that do we have some rule such says that ABC condition matches, then give this person this kind of a rule. So searching those rules, updating, and then creating and all that things will be very tedious into that,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yes. So obviously now we think that, okay, SQL based rule engine doesn't work.
So I was thinking more in the class. That's what I have seen before. But I don't know how many you can add. So for each rule, you create a new class.
Then how many classes will be there? As I said, how many classes will be getting
Fine. Yeah,
created?
okay. Okay. I'm not going to try anymore.
Yeah. No. You're. See, we are thinking vividly, and you are thinking perfectly. That yeah, in this way also we can do. In this way also we can do. So the point is how much scalable it is. When we are thinking for such a big organization, as I said, Amazon, or a company, let's say SBI, whose branches are there in the whole world,
Yeah.
right? So for their credit card, whose customers are present into whole world, their rule engine will not be working for this kind of condition. It can be for some other.
This sounds like a microservice to me. Like the whole rule engine itself is a microservice. Do you think?
It will
Can it
be.
be? It can be, right? For
It
a
can be.
for a massive company, it can be.
But still, see,
Okay.
at the
Mhm.
end, what it will be. Let's say even for India. So let's say you have created microservices for different countries and all that things. But even for India, your rule engine will be same, right? Just one.
Mhm.
And it will have thousands of rules, as I said. And any complex kind of rules can be there. If the person is loyal, if the person is from 5 years with us, 7 years with us, he has this many reward points, he has collected this many reward points, then give this much. His credit score is this much. So let's say new thing came up, that if the everything across thing, but if the credit score of that guy is less, give him more, so that he can give him more percentage of discount, so that he spends more and his credit card get increased, right?
Oh,
Point is, if such kind
okay.
of rules are keep on coming and going, right? You cannot make it scalable for any of the discussions that we have gone through so far. They are correct. Some of them were there into markets few years down the line previously, right? They were, but it's not scalable. So what is scalable? NoSQL. Now think
Oh,
about
yes, of course. Okay. Now this changes the game completely.
that. How will you model the rules into NoSQL's design? Now you have JSON based rule.
But here you don't really have to worry about the structure because you can do whatever you want in each rule.
Exactly. So now
Yeah.
you have the specific the rules, something like let's say you are keeping like one category of a rules,
Mhm.
something like this, which is, let's say, rule name, something like this, let's say gender based rule. So this is your key, and in that, whatever the parameters you want to add, if the gender is this, then the rule should be this. If the gender is this, then the rule in the sense whatever the operand and whatever the thing that you want to do. Now along with that, let's say the rule number 2 also you want to apply, or another rule also you are storing for India or something else. Okay, now when you want to club, you will see that, okay, gender based rule plus year based rule, the person is there with us from 5 years, plus ABC rule, let's say. So rule number 1, 2, and 3, and then give the discount. Now this kind of information also you can store into some other rule engine. Sorry, so some other JSON file. Got it. So the point is, now if you think, it can be very easy to scale, to store, to update, because now you can find it out as well, that in which way the rules have been configured. Even if you want to keep all of this together, then also you can create that, let's say rule number 1, first on gender based, then so first apply this, second apply this, and third apply this, all these 3. Okay, then what to do? Something like this, and you have kept an evaluator that all of 3 should met, then only then this should be given. Another rule can be there, that G, let's say gender based and number of years based rule, if both of them have met, then what to do, and all of them have been associated with priority. So in priority you can apply, so that even first, whenever the first rule has been applied, second rule will not be applied, right?
Uh, how will you map the entity to the model like a C# or like any, because the entities will change here, right? Because the columns are not restricted anymore.
So
So
yes, columns. So exactly, if you want to keep, still you can keep. It's not like that. You'll have to
or you
create
can
an
have the
entity.
maximum number of columns. So basically, however maximum. So for example, one rule has 10 columns, for example, yeah, or 10 properties. You can have, and out of those 10, 5 or 6 are common in rest of them, right? And 4 are extra here. So you can have all 10 in one class and map the class, right?
I won't go for the mapping right now over there. Instead of that, what I'll go for
Mm-hmm.
is that each and every subcategory should have a class. Like, let's say, as I say, the category which was on the basis of age or the number of years, right? For each of those category, I would keep a mapping rather than on the whole rule.
Oh, oh,
Right?
oh. So
That
sorry. So one rule has all two of these, for example, age and number of years.
Yes,
Okay, and then you have two classes that each property
exactly,
maps to a class.
exactly.
Oh,
Or I can have some other validation file as well,
yeah, that
rather
works
than
better because this is very
better.
extensible.
Exactly.
Very
That
extensible.
whatever the age would be, its value should be into this, because then there'll be just few validations on each and every property, nothing else.
But
So
then
let's
Dhaval,
say,
if you have, for example, sorry to interrupt. This if you have like a class for each and every property, then every time you want to add a new property, you would have to create a new class.
see, that is still fine, right? Why? Because
Okay.
see, if you have to create a new property, okay,
Mhm.
and let's say a novice guy comes and he creates a new class for that because everything is in string,
Mm.
then your rule engine will be jeopardized. Instead of that, if it is of type enum,
Yeah.
then it will be better. So you'll
Yeah.
have to create of type enum
Yeah.
somewhere, which is
Yeah.
common everywhere. And
Yeah. Yeah.
second,
Yeah.
the validation file, you'll have to update that of this enum, only this type of values will be applicable, right?
Yeah.
So
So.
these two things you'll have to add. Similarly, if you create a class or object, that also will be the same, right?
Mm.
But this validations should be there such that no random string can be created as your rule
Okay. So
or
they,
as
in
your
this way, it
parameter.
saves if someone tries to mess with the database, they cannot create a new rule. They have to
Exactly.
add code to it. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Fine. Okay. I was just thinking if someone wanted to quickly add a new rule to the database rather than messing with the code, then just won't work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
now think about, so now why I told you, because this type of questions are there now, people are asking, because now most of the designs are going into NoSQL based designs only,
Okay.
right? So in general companies, people see that, do you know how will you model such kind of very simple rules engine structure and all that things, and can you be are you comfortable with designing a new NoSQL based simple structure and all that thing? So this is one of the very simple thing, right? On further note, there can be still difficult questions for the NoSQL design and all that things, but they are on they are I would say like kind of in a design. If I say, let's say, if you are creating your NoSQL design for Coursera, okay, so let's say Coursera has many courses and all that things,
Mm.
and now they have also started taking like 1 year course and 6 months course and something like that from the universities. So now there are types of many things, like you have exams,
Yeah.
you have certification course, you have university course, you have long-term course, and you have bunch of whole certificates as well, that if you clear 5 exams, then you can be Java certified. Something like that is also there, that you have bunch of 5 courses that you will complete, and 5 courses exam if you'll give, then you can have one certification, something
It's
like
like a
that.
credit. You can.
Ye-
Yeah.
yeah, so that kind of complex relationships they are creating. Now think about it, that when you have to design for the rule engine for that, or evaluator for that, I won't say rule engine, say evaluator, that which person has got cleared which exams, which person has got which certificates, and the exams team is different, certificates team is different, and universities team is different, and long-term course teams are different. Their data sources and their databases are different. But when you evaluate a person, that what is his score, that he has got 500 exams clear, or 7 exams clear, 2 certificates, 1 university course completed, and 5 long-term course completed. On that basis, if you want to evaluate a person, you need to have all of those data. How will you write your evaluator over here with different type of datas, whose model can be different? Model, when I say model, that means the structure of the JSON. Okay, that structure of the JSON is separate, but you need to evaluate it over here. How will you design your evaluator? First thing, what will be the steps into the evaluator? So now when I say, it will be a huge change for you to think, because in high level also you need to think that which kind of components I'll put. There'll be some processes that you'll try to put, that okay, I'll convert each and every courses to, or whatever the data I'm getting, to something which is common across all. Once it is common across all, then I can evaluate it, right? That how much this person is completing the course, exams, and whatever his final score is, right? So the point is, apart from all that high level component that you think of the evaluator and this, you need to think about what kind of DB design you will think to store. So let's say this guy has given you data in format A. This guy has given you in format B. This guy has given you in format C. This guy has given you in a format D. And when I say format, their enums are different. Okay, exam code are different. So let's say exam code is something like this, ABC and 1. While certification code is something like this, cert, or just 1, 2, 3, 4. That is a certification code. So you have to evaluate based upon this all. So the keys will be different. My point is keys will be different. How will you do that? So there is one, so obviously once you bring everything into common ground, let's say you run one, or you run one job, from that every type of data will come under the common ground. Then you'll try to store it somewhere. So when you try to store it, there isn't a type of pattern I forgot for the DB design, which is called, I won't say, um, so the pattern of that design is something like this, that you have the same collection. Let's say collection is exam score or person profile. Okay, collection is same, but in that you have different type of objects. Now generally in SQL, such kind of things is not possible. In SQL, if you have person profile, you will have person ID and ABC, whatever columns associated with that. Now over here, you can do the same thing still, that the person account ID is A, okay, but the document type is exam. And over here, the structure of an exam you will store, because that structure is different.
Sorry, Dhaval, I'm not following. What is this? Sorry. So because in SQL you can still map the same thing, right? You can have a person profile table, then you can have multiple other sub entities and just link it with the ID as a foreign key.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that will be like
So,
multiple tables.
yes, multiple tables. So how
Exactly.
is it different here?
Over here, they are associated into the same collection.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay,
creating
fine. Yeah,
multiple
got
tables.
it. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, there it will be multiple tables, and
You would
all
have to
foreign
create
keys.
multiple tables here. Here you don't have to create tables. You can just add as many properties you want.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you are segregating based upon document type. Along with the, so partition key will be your account ID, that the
Yeah.
user ID, let's say,
Yeah.
the user ID is A, user ID is B, and whatever. So partition key and main primary key is account ID. But the type of data which you are storing, exam related data, certification related data, university related data, long-term courses, short-term courses, that all, just the document type will be different. So you can store all into just one collection. So this type also you can store for this kind of usage. So what I wanted to say is that nowadays, when people ask about the low level design, they generally tend to go that if you are very much good into SQL based design, they will see that whether you are also very good into NoSQL based design in this kind of way as well. And this is one of the way. Otherwise, in normally what we will think is to create multiple collections, just like, because we from the childhood we are thinking in terms of SQL only.
Relational.
Yeah,
Yeah.
relational database where we'll try to create a different tables. So person exam table, person university table, person long-term courses table, and person short-term courses table. In that way we'll try to model, but everything we can put into single collection as well when it is
Okay.
NoSQL.
Yeah.
Right. So the point is, how will you, so these are all things you'll have to come up in interview on the go, right? So all these things you guys must have a little bit read about it. Okay, then in which way I can do, what are the new techniques of the NoSQL design? So that's why I always say that, last time also I told you that keep on reading about how or in which way the companies are writing their code blogs, and in that they are giving the solutions that in this way we modeled, this way we have kept the high level design, this way we have kept the low level design. With that you will get a new perspective, new ideas that will be very much helpful into system design, rather than you buy a course somewhere and you just read about those, or you just read about from the book. Okay,
Mhm.
because this will keep on changing. the new things will keep on coming into system design.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be updated on that. Okay.
Yeah.
There was apart from that. Okay, so we'll go for the logger thing. Before that, Anurag, Jose, are you guys following? I haven't heard much from you guys.
Dhaval, I have one question. Actually, previously when we were discussing about that document type that we need to store, means
Mhm.
which type of no SQL database we should be using? Because I'm aware of one, that is Redis, the key value pair. So
So
Okay.
yeah, there are many NoSQL like Mongo is there. Okay, so there is open source. Mongo also supports sharding. Mongo also supports fast retrieval of data and so many things. Okay, so Mongo is one of the best. Second thing which I'm in the sense I'm working with is Cosmos DB. It is of Microsoft, and we have what we can say Amazon's DynamoDB as well. Okay, so DyDB also has some unique features. Cosmos DB also has some unique features. Mongo has many open source things. So whenever you are working with startups, probably Mongo will be the best suited. But when you grow, probably such kind of some designs, you'll have some tool you will have to use, probably Cosmos, Dynamo, or something like that. Like we have so far read about that we have always a primary key, right?
Mm.
That the indexing will be created upon the primary key. You know about the indexing, right? In normal SQL, so that the data retrieval can be faster. Now, DynamoDB comes up with two things, primary and secondary indexes as well, for much faster data retrieval. So it's something like this. So based upon your usage and future usage, at least for next 3 years, you'll have to decide that which tool you will use for this. But generally people use his Mongo. So if you want to start reading about it, probably the Mongo will be the best one to read about it because it's open source.
Dhaval, just one more thing. Actually, you are telling about. Actually, I have seen some of the Netflix Medium post. Should I
Mhm.
be following those to understand all these things?
So let me tell you, uh, I have seen that, with system design, I have found what I would say that Geeks for Geeks is one of the worst for system design. Okay, educative IO's course was there. Okay, it was also okay because it's generally giving only on basis of high level design only, and in that also their knowledge is very restrictive, very restrictive. uh, some of the few good thing, even in YouTube there was few people who are writing giving the videos about the system design. They are also not really good.
Gaurav Sainian.
So they are giving good into high level design, and just how to evaluate that, which kind of components you will need and all that things. That is good way. But I have seen particularly that when you are going into SD 1 2 3 up to 3, I would say up to SD 1 2 and 3, they will see how is your low level design and not the high level design. Because when we are talking, our high level design is always restricted to which kind of component we will use, which kind of things we will create in just um, uh, totally in the air, that I will create like that, something like that. We are building the castles. But when a proper, you have to create an architecture for an API or a small component or small system design, you'll have to do majorly. You'll have to think about which kind of API you will write, which kind of low level design you will create, what low level design you will update, and how you will update. So generally for SD 1 2 3 up to 9 years of experience or 8 years of experience, people generally tend to ask these two things more. Then high level design will come. I haven't read few the way you say Medium articles or Netflix articles or some other articles. That articles I haven't read, but yeah, if they are discussing more in terms of these things, that how you should think for low level design, how you should uh, map your requirements to a NoSQL or a SQL, then they are good. and they should also but they should give you the ideas the way we have taken up the last question. Like when we have taken the Google Calendar, right? Once we design something, we start thinking, will it work for this kind of query? Once we design, we start thinking, will it work for something other kind of query? Then again, we thought, what about this kind of information? So in that way, progressive or step-by-step approach should be there, that your design should be evolving with one thought. Each and every thought or each and every step, your design should be evolving. If the articles are there in that way, that it gives you every kind of a perspective and then finally giving you a design, then it would be a good article, I would say. So I haven't come across much of such, but there was, I'll give you the link. There was one GitHub page who has almost written everything about the high level design and low level design. That what are the things that you should think. Then all of this, like as I said, it will come with practice as well. That you'll need to think that which kind of query will I have to run, which kind of performance it will give, how will I shard, how, on what basis, if I design like this, on what basis I'll scale, how will I shard, all that things. So that thing will come with the practice. So, and for that, you can just, think about one type of design, one another type of design. As I said, you think about Netflix, how will I design? You think about, okay, Ola Shuttle, how will I design? Something else as a Google Calendar, as I have thought that, okay, I have to design Google Calendar. Or previous question, as I said, rule engine. Now rule engine for Coursera, I have to extend it. So in that way, you'll have to practice on your own. That would I say. Okay, I would say like that. But yeah, any reading is good if it is giving you some knowledge.
Sure, Dhaval. Actually, just to give an example, for example, how Netflix is, means actually there was a crazy monkey thing that they have implemented. What it does, they run it, and what it does, it automatically means shut downs any of the microservice, and then they see how the system is means resilient to failure. They just do that. So actually, I read about that. So actually, what they have implemented, they just write it down on a means on these blocks.
Yeah. So
Uh,
you are talking about some Netflix blog, right?
yes, means
Yeah.
in the medium itself, they are posting some Netflix vlogs which are free of cost. We don't
Yeah.
have to
So
subscribe to Medium.
yeah. So even on the Medium or even on the company. So let's say you go to Netflix and you search for Netflix blog or article of those, you will find such kind of an articles. Okay. And yes, you need to read those things. I was telling you the same thing previously, that I used to read Hotstar, then Netflix, then Uber's blogs, and in which they used to write all these things also, that what kind of problem they have got, how they resolved it. Okay. So yes, it's a good thing.
Sure, Dhaval.
Perfect. Now, okay. So okay, we discussed about the rule engine, how the NoSQL can be used. You guys need to little bit still read about it, that how NoSQL can be modeled. A few of the things I have given. Once you understand the JSON, NoSQL is not a big deal. It's just that how you are using it. So just read about it, that how people are using it for their questions. Okay, we have seen one or two type of design questions with that. Now let's see, if you have to design something with design, uh, what you can say. Okay, we'll go over this question first. Design a logger. Now logger means you have to log your exceptions and some of the things. So first thing comes is requirement gathering, and in that you will ask that, okay, which kind of logs I do have to log. So let's say the requirement comes back, or so the answer comes back is something like this, that probably you need to log errors, you need to log transactions, that's it. And it should be scalable. Now, if I have to use some design pattern, okay, which kind of design pattern I'll use?
Design pattern for what? Sorry.
Design pattern for logger. So let's say I want to create a logger. So let's say, okay, I have got that. Okay, the requirement is that I have to design some classes, because when it comes over the design pattern, that means some bunch of classes. I'm not exactly taking that A design pattern or B design pattern. What I have to create some classes such that I can implement logger properly. Now, when I say about the logger, and I asked the question that which kind of logs I have to do or what things should be logged, the person said, okay, error and transactions. Now, when you think error can be like this: DB error, coding error, exceptions, file exception, IO exception, event logger, info, and
Factory.
development based logging as well.
Mean factory pattern.
Think about it. Is it scalable? That is first thing. Second thing is that the last line is also very much important, that this log is of type production. That means this file, or in production, all the DB and all the file exception and everything should go. But in alpha beta testing, if the transactions are not going, then it's fine. If IO exceptions are not going, then it's fine, because alpha beta testing sometimes doesn't get connected to DB or something like that, or they can't read the files, or because they are small. Some exceptions can come off the socket because the instances or threads are limited. So such kind of exceptions I don't want to log. But for prod, I want to log. So then factory pattern will not be useful, because for factory pattern, each and every type of logs are different. Now we are giving some rules kind of thing, that for prod, this kind of logs should be there, but for alpha beta testing, such kind of logs may not come, then it's fine. So may not mean the sense, you'll say, okay, do not log at all. Just log few things, just only the errors. So probably you might have read that you are logging something like that, info.error and this, and info dot sorry, log.info, and sometimes log.error, and sometimes log.exception, something like that. So what is that type? If you see that log of type error, log of type information. So information, if the type is production, should get stored into your file. But if it is info, in the same code, if the code is being running on the alpha or beta testing or the staging environment, then it won't get logged into your file. So now here is a thing. How will you model your classes? Think about design pattern. Think that without design pattern also, what kind of things will be there? Probably then afterwards, you also need to think about it, that what will be your output file? How will I model it? All the DB errors into one file, or all the production logs of one server, let's say server one, into one file? In which way I want to give my output? That also you need to think about it. So tell me that if I have to create some classes for that, what kind of classes I'll create, or what kind of system I will think to design? So I want, yeah.
Means just starting with means we can create an enum having like different severe finest, or maybe the info, maybe error, something like that.
So that
We
will be
can.
the type of errors. Then
Yes. Okay.
So, there needs to be some kind of base interface.
yes,
So you would be like, you have like iLogger, and you can have like a method log,
exactly.
and then you can create. So I don't know, somehow I feel like it's like a strategy pattern. I don't know.
So exactly, there can be any pattern which can be
Yeah,
applied over here.
because so like you can have you can create each log each exception file based on that iLogger, and then you can define whatever needs to be in that for that log function.
Exactly.
And then if you but actually if you want to combine more than one, would you
Then
need
it
to
will be,
a
yes,
problem? Oh, it can be. Oh, strategy lets you combine more than one as well. Yeah. So
exactly.
yeah, so you can have multiple methods and then you can combine them.
Exactly. So my point was, the way you tweak your requirement, probably your design pattern will change. Right?
Okay.
If you think that in this way, as we started with this, this pattern was useful. Now we'll see, is there any other design pattern? Let's say I have taken an example of single design pattern. Okay. Let's say observer. Now
Yeah,
observer, probably I can mold for my requirements over here.
you can.
Then we
Yeah.
will see that along with your observer, there can be a chain of responsibility design pattern there, where I'll give the responsibility to different classes to log, and then I'll just forget. So let's see those. Okay, we'll quickly give the example of those. But my point is, via changing some requirements, the design pattern can be different. So there is no right or wrong answer. It's something like, if this requirement is given to you, how you are thinking, what assumptions you have made, and on basis of what assumptions, which design pattern you have finally chosen. So in interview, the main criteria of discussion will be, if they are asking for design pattern or a class design and all that things, that what kind of requirements you are thinking from your side. That will be the key point that they will be looking into it. That I have just given you two things, errors and transaction. What extra you have thought? Okay. From that extra thoughts, how have you come up with a design? Design in the sense class designs. Which kind of class? And let's say if I have asked you a question that, okay, I don't want this requirement, but I want something else, then how are you tweaking or changing your design pattern or the relationship of your classes? This is what they will look into your interview when you are going for the class level discussion. In the sense, the classes, objects, and the relationship, that section, when it will come into interviews for system design round, these are the main things that they will be looking into it. These are the main 3 to 4 points are there. Okay, so we'll quickly see, let's say just like a high level component wise, and then we'll see about the design pattern wise. And as I said, no design pattern is always perfect or correct. Based upon the changes of requirement, something can be different. So let's say we'll go for a simple design, that I'm creating a logger and I have designed it in such a way that I'm registering for error, I'm registering it for warning, and I'm registering it for info. Now why it's because like that, that if my instance is separated somewhere, separated in the sense, if it's in a production instance, I'm registering all. But if it would be my testing environment, I'll just register a few, that only errors you register, so that only errors will be logged over here into testing environment, or exceptions, right? So that thing I can do it very simply. I just have to write it down in terms of, in config file, if else base, that which one to register. If it's in a prod environment, register this. If it's in a test environment, register this. Simple enough. So this kind of initial design I would think. Then there'll be complex things such as that the file and DB instances would have been registered for error as well and warning as well, while platform level can be only for warning, and app related platforms that can go for warning and info only, right? And when I say a different type of classes for each, okay, it can be like this in afterwards, that I have main logger. Each subjects are either attached, detached, or either their logger is notifying them regarding logging. And when I'm observing, when I'm attaching or detaching, I'm attaching this kind of platforms. DB platform or console platform or app platform with me. Got it? So if in a very quick sense, if I explain you the code, it can be something like this. Let's say I have logging platform created in observer pattern. Okay. And I'm attaching the type of platforms, error platforms, oh, sorry, error with this platform, warning with this platform, and general also with this platform. And now that logger has also been associated in this way that errors can be generated from file platform. Errors can be generated from something else as well. So over here, just file platform I have associated. But the point is, with this attach relationship, attach or detach relationship, I can manage my simple requirement of that few things I can attach for production, few things I can not attach into testing environment, and all things should be logged. Now, when I say, when I will create a class, something like this, write log error and this, it will be properly written, but where exactly, that will be defined where it is attached, right? So it was a very simple example of a design, one design pattern in which I have observed it. So each and every platforms are observing where to get attached. Once they are attached in that way, the rest of information will get followed. Now in this console platform, I would have written that if it's a type of error, where to log, what to log, where to write the logs and all that things, right? So in this way, it can be scalable as well and extensible as well. Now, as I said, it cannot be always that, this is the only correct way. The furthermore, there can be as well, like if I create it in terms of chain of responsibilities, something like that. I have created a chain pattern which uses your abstract logger. Now in abstract logger, you have all the things like what is the log level, what will be the next logger after me, right? So now if we think for the similar previous design, that if some exception comes or something like that comes, first I have to store the info and then I will store about the error. And then after error, what else it should be going to log. So in that way, I'm creating a chain of responsibility that first this class should get executed, or this method of this class should get executed for the exception logging, then this, and then this. So such kind of chain of responsibility I'm creating. In that way as well, I can model my given requirements to this for different logs for different type of environments. So let's say one type of abstract logger I have created, and just like our previous type, I have created different type of instantiated different type of logger. Let's say error logger, file logger, console logger, and all that things. Methods will be obviously same. The console logger, error logger, these are the main methods which will be getting executed. Okay, and I have kept a set next logger. What does it mean, set next logger? So let's say whenever the file exception come from the file reading or something like that, first I'll log the exception into file logger, and I would have set the next logger equal to error logger. So whenever the exception comes or something like that comes from the file, first file logger will get executed method. In set next responsibility, chain of responsibility, the next logger which should get executed will be error. So this set next logger, I would have set it up. And whenever one kind of error I log, the next also will get logged, right? So quickly, if I give you an example of this, it can be like this. So let's say I have created extra error logger, file logger, and console logger. Okay, now for error logger, I have set next logger is equal to file logger, let's say. And for file logger, next logger is a console logger. So now whenever I log the error into with the help of error logger, rest of the file logger and the console loggers methods will also get executed for logging the error. if we see it from void static main thing, so let's say I'm logging a message of info that there is some information, okay, and I'm logging a message into debug, and then I'm going for the error as well. So whenever I'm going for the error logger will put it into this, and it will also check for the file and console that this information should get propagated to the file logger and the console logger as well. So in this way, the chain of responsibility happens over here as well. Now, where I will instantiate or where I will differentiate that which kind of instance is there and all that things. So probably when I'm creating the relationship, that logic, if I put somewhere else in based upon the config values, then it can be like this. So let's say if I read the config and I see that instance is prod, then such kind of chain of responsibility should get created, otherwise something else. So that kind of things also I can map to. Got it? So my point was that even if we think that, okay, there is only one single type of design pattern would be enough, there can be multiple ways as well, rather than just one single design pattern. Okay, and furthermore, the example of this, I think the same one, but just the method was different. It was the same thing. Okay. I think, yeah, what Harsh was telling, that the same way with the factories also, we can create the same kind of a design pattern. I'm just not creating a chain of responsibility between those. I'm just not creating only the main logger. So wherever I want to log, if I do not have the requirements like chain of responsibility or observe pattern where based upon the type of log, the rest of the things should get executed. If that kind of requirement is not there, then simple factory pattern would also be used. And that also can be created. And generally I have seen the factory is what being used majorly into industry. So at least read about factory, abstract factory, and few of such kind of questions. As I said, one example I have asked about, let's say you want to create a pizza's menu, then which kind of design pattern you will use?
I was builder, right?
Obviously, that can be a builder. Now, as I said, why builder? Because in builder you can merge or you can add support of, or you can attach any of the class very easily. So let's say you have base class for the, so base, I won't say base class in the sense pizza's base class that can be attached with all the toppings, right? And some of the toppings you can edit extra as well. So probably Harsh might have read about it, but my point is such kind of questions you need to read, see which kind of discussions people are doing on Career Cup and Stack Overflow, that which kind of design pattern people will go for it. So keep on reading about such kind of things, and yes, it can work. Makes sense?
Yeah. Dhaval, when are you going to take the behavioral thing?
Okay. I haven't thought about it.
Because
Okay.
you said you were going to do behavioral this time with us. I
Yes.
was wondering what can we do regarding that.
What's the time right now?
It's 10:05.
It's 10:05. Still 1 hour. We can start on that behavioral things. It's not like that, because I just have thought about, I have just created 2 questions on this design patterns, that this 2. So we can think about it, we can discuss about it. And yeah, I have thought that, you know, whenever you guys are free, whenever you want to go for an interview, I can take your mock interview once, and in that I can discuss about the behavior. But it's good you reminded me, otherwise I generally take behavioral discussions into that. So generally I have seen this from last few months actually. Most of the companies are asking Amazon's design, I won't say design principles, but they have that this principles you read about Amazon's principles. Okay, developer principles are there, and they are asking more questions, or they are modeling the questions in terms of these principles. Now, what are those principles? The first principle is customer obsession. So you read about those principles, but how will they ask the behavioral question? And that will be like this. Let's say customer obsession, it cannot be modeled with some other thing, but let's say they will ask you a behavioral question like this, that have you worked upon some customer project which requires the customer discussion? Or when I was giving an interview, what they have asked me was, because I was from warehouse domain, they asked me that, okay, have you designed something in which you had to implement for warehouse guys which are very less literated, and how you overcome that, because the requirement will be coming from those guys which are.
They're checking your communication skills here. Huh?
No, I won't say they are checking your communication skills, but what they are checking is how much. So for this principle, customer obsession, what they are checking is that how much you're obsessed with your customers and solving their problems. So they are called leadership principles. Now, leadership principles for SD1 can be different, and then for SD2, and then for SD3. So you read about those. There are many, I think 18 or 20 design principles are there. The first one is customer obsession, I remember. So in which way you'll have to answer when such kind of question comes, that, have you implemented something at the customer's end? Or what if, have you worked with something where a customer itself has given you that I am facing this problem? Which kind of things you would have done? So one thing I'll tell you, that for each leadership principles, you should have some examples in your mind which you have either worked upon really, or you have created in your mind, I would say. Because it's not possible that you might have worked upon each and every scenarios in your last 2-3 years of tenure into your company. Okay, so something should have been in your mind. And let's say if you come across something like, has it ever happened that some situation happened? Let's say you say, no, such kind of situation didn't happen in my career. It's been only 3 years till I have started, so such thing never happened with me. So such kind of thing also you need to say. Now I'll tell you my experience with this behavioral question. So there was this question, that have you implemented, or such kind of obscure requirements were coming that you could not understand, and you have to solve it at the customer location. So I said, yeah, we had to. So we have implemented the whole code and everything without transaction and all that things, because we do not have financial transaction, something which we have to revert into warehouse. Now, when we modeled our same code for handheld devices, so handheld devices in the sense, you might have seen like barcode scanner are there, right? So we had the barcode scanner into warehouses. So when we modeled our code from existing Ruby to Android, such that from mobile people will scan and they can put the items from warehouse shelf to bucket, so that they can pick the item. There was one of the issue which was coming, and that was internet connectivity. Now you would think that, okay, why it would worry? But the problem which was getting is, so let's say one guy goes into the warehouse and he's picking an order into basket, and the order has 10 items. What was happening is that when he goes over here, internet connectivity goes, and he has put 5 items into his bucket. But as internet connectivity goes, our code was not committing something to DB. What was happening is when this guy comes up outside and internet connectivity comes back, his bucket virtually in a code was being empty. Why? Because the transaction didn't get completed in time. So we thought that, okay, the guy would have dropped all the order. So though guy has picked up 5 items into his bucket, virtually whatever he has scanned and put it into the code, that item have been vanished, and he will be given new order that go and pick up this 5 items. So whatever he has picked up, he has to put it back, right? So such kind of scenario was not there even thought by PMs. Now, when I discussed this thing, I said that, okay, people were telling us that there are few bugs coming up, and we were not able to understand why, because the guy who are working into warehouse are like around 10 pass or 11 pass or something like that. They don't know how to communicate. So they are just telling that, okay, the wish list or the bucket is getting empty, the bucket is getting empty. So we had to go in more night 2 or 3 at warehouse when the picking is happening, because my code was in the grocery. So grocery picking order happens at early morning 7. So before early morning 7, it get dispatched. The picking packing happens at night 2 and 3. So we had to go at night 2 and 3. We have to enable our code for few users only, few users in the sense few warehouse guys only. And we have seen that what issues were coming, and they were also random. For few guys it was coming, for few guys it was not. So we saw what was their pain point, and then we implemented, or then we changed these things accordingly. So that shows that you are very much committed to whatever you are delivering for your customers. Even if your customers are fine, they are not able to explain you their problem, but the problem was there, and you went ahead and solved it. You went one step ahead and you solved it. So that kind of thing shows that you have a customer obsession principle in you. Okay. Second principle was something like ownership. So they will ask you a question which is very related to ownership, that how much of this project, so let's say in your CV you have written that I have done 5 projects. So how much you owned it? So when you say I just owned 2 APIs, so what they will ask, okay, in 2 APIs, what you did? Now, if you say that I have just coded it because the requirement was given to me by PM, I have just coded it, then you will not get succeeded into your ownership principle. Why? Because you did what is being given to you simply. Obviously, for first year or 6 months guy or intern guy, that would have been a relevant thing. But when you are more than 1 years of experience in the same industry or different even companies as well, it will be expected that you take up ownership on your own. And what would that kind of answer would look like? That would look like something like that we were discussing with the PMs, and this kind of requirement come up that this is the project and I have to develop, or finally this is the project, and these are the few APIs that we will have to discuss. Now we have discussed, let's say that, or our tech lead has given 2 APIs to me and 3 APIs to someone else. Now what ownership shows when you have to give the answer, that would say that, okay, I have designed this 2 APIs. In that I have found it out that few of the scenarios were missing. So I initiated and I discussed with PMs and my tech lead that what to do about these 2 scenarios or 3 scenarios. Also, these 3 scenarios were missing into QA file or testing team. So let's say you have a QA team different, you can say that. So whatever the document they have passed, that this kind of test cases should be completed, there also this information was missing. So I discussed with them, and we have added new test cases such that the QA happens properly. That shows that whatever two APIs you are writing, you are very much eager to give it at a 100% better way. So if you have been given a requirement and you just coded it, it's a different thing. But if you have given a requirement, you found some mistakes into that, or you found some issues into that, you go ahead and discuss with your TL and your PM, you change the thing, and then you have finally coded the thing. That would have shown that you are owning the whole item or the piece of code which you have been given. And that shows that you are committed towards a better quality code. Now, obviously, when you are saying that, you have to model this in your work, and that work which has been given into your CV. It may be that you might have done this. Obviously, everyone would have done this, but when we are going into the interview, we forget to mention these things. And that's why somewhere they feel that probably the guy is lacking ownership, probably. And I have seen that, generally people doesn't discuss all the things that they have done. Generally, the way we are writing in the CV is that, okay, I have done this project, or I have led the project. When you say led, what does it mean by led? You have to explain many things, that these are the things I have did, and these are the things that you say should be revolving around some of the principles. Say when you say that I have helped junior guy to write it down a better code, not in terms of code review, but I have explained him that instead of this kind of code, you should have written this kind of code, such that the scaling would be easier. Or when you want to add some new requirements, then such kind of classes would be easy, or such kind of design would be easy to maintain new further coming requirements. So when you say this, there is also another leadership principle that shows that, okay, you are good into this. Okay, so whatever you have done, actually you should communicate very properly. There are many design principles, I won't say design principles, leadership principles, but not all would be given to you, or you won't be evaluated in terms of all, but few are them are like this: ownership, customer obsession. Then there is, if you are having a 3-4 years of experience, how many interviews you have taken, what are the things that you are seeing in a candidate, so that is hire and develop the best. So they will ask you about if you are taking an interview or not, which level of interview you are taking. So in my CV, there are few open source contribution. So sorry, not few, there are only two or three open source contribution is there. So they asked why you did open source contribution. Okay, so for that also there is one design principle associated with it, that you are curious whatever you are doing for, and that's why you did something more than required, and you did open source contribution as well. Now I have, well, obviously whomsoever is giving an interview, probably they will ask you this question, and that will be always that, what if, or has it ever occurred that you and your tech lead and your your manager has some different views or opinion into some project, what you would have done, what you would tell in the interview?
I think you would have to be stuck with like whoever is giving the best solution for the problem, and whichever solution is going to last longer in long term.
So
You just have to give up if your solution is crap. But if there is, you have to make them understand that your solution is not up to the mark because of this reason. And obviously, you have to be very polite and object. I don't know. You have to be very objective about it. Like you have to just stay on the subject rather than making it personal.
Exactly. But generally, what people would like to see is that what you did, what's when such kind of situation occurred. So what would be the right answer for that, or what would be the right way to answer
Dhaval?
is that? Yeah.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Actually, one thing that I can suggest from my end, for example, many a times it happens that my manager is telling me to do it in a certain way. So sometimes it conflicts my means way of doing something. So in that case, I usually discuss with her so that we get the clarity about what exactly she's thinking and what exactly I am thinking. Uh, because when we get more clarity on a particular topic, then we can decide why my solution is whether my solution is lacking, or whether it's giving a perfect solution, or whether her solution is giving a perfect solution. Means getting more clarity on the understanding what we both are thinking about.
So let's say if the person asks you that okay, her perspective is that in future, when or down the line after 3 years such kind of requirement comes, then this design will fail. And your point is that even if such kind of design or even if such kind of requirement will come, your design will be better than what you will do. So there is the conflict of opinion. What you said was conflict of, I won't say conflict of opinion, it was conflict or conflict of communication. I would say that where the communication was not clear either from her end or your end. So the person will what they want to see is that when such conflict happens, what you generally do. So the right way to answer, and also the right way in industry, that would be, because obviously manager and tech leads, they will have their own ego. Though everyone says that okay, we all are at same level and this and that all thing is wrong. They all will have that ego, obviously based upon the years of experience, number of experience. What you should have done is that okay, first, when such kind of conflict of opinion happened, what I did was, because you are understanding what your manager's point is, but still you think you are right. Got it? And how you can go ahead with this is that you can take an opinion of third person who is at almost at same level at your manager, which is like architect. So I have given the answer like this, that I discussed with my TL first that the manager was telling this thing and my opinion on the design is this thing. What do you suggest? Let's say if the TL can convince me that my design is lagging on some point, probably the manager could not explain me, or some of the cases he could not explain me, and TL could, then I would say okay. Or the TL or the manager said that okay, in future there are the projects which are coming up, and because of that we are telling that your this design may not work, then I would accept it. If it still doesn't help me, then I would do my one-on-one with my architect once, that I'm doing this kind of design. What are the problems into that? My manager says that these are the design problems into this. What do you think about it? Or can we go for some third design such that both the solution can be accommodated or both the problems can be solved with something third level design only? So I would go for that kind of an approach where I take an help of outsider, because we have a team level architects as well, and uh, their input are always a final level input, because they also know that which kind of future projects are coming up, or do we have to merge with some other team or not. And probably in that all perspective, I took an help of some other guys and then finally went ahead with new design or changes into design, in which some things I have taken care from my manager, some things I have taken an idea from the architect, and finally I went ahead with the third design only, where many things were getting solved. So you can answer like that. That is my experience, but obviously there is no always right or wrong kind of an answer with that, but such kind of question can come. Another question, let's say, um, let's say your manager says that go ahead and do this because we want to solve this problem, or let's say there is a customer bug and you want to solve it in a shortcut way. So your TL tells you that, your tech lead tells you that go ahead and solve it in this way. What you would do? You know that it is in a shortcut. What you would do?
I would say that it can cause problems. Depends on what kind of shortcut way it is. So most of the times when you cut corners, it's going to cause a headache in the future. And because the manager is generally not going to have that headache, it's going to be me doing it in the end. So I would be like, this is what can happen. I would obviously have to do like an assessment based on what can happen, and if I'm
Exactly.
sure about it, then I will suggest that, based on what you've just asked me to do, I know it's important for us to finish something quickly, but if we do it this way, later down the line we'll have technical debt and we would have to fix it and spend time then anyway. So might as well, when you're doing it for the first time, do it the right way. And it depends,
So
obviously the manager can, what the manager can say, it depends on the manager as well.
exactly. So what you said is very, very, very correct. You'll have to say directly and indirectly in both the ways that you will do it and also you'll not do it. Now, why is it like that? Because let's say this bug is affecting a customer and the customer is your $1 million customer. And if let's say something like that happened, that he cannot see his revenue, obviously, right? So you cannot say that, okay, I'll fix this bug properly with deployment, right? You have to solve on and on at that point of time only. So probably it would require some data fixes, let's say. Okay, so you can say like that okay, if it is a very urgent critical issue which requires to be fixed like this, I would say that okay, I'll first mark it. Let's say if it requires a database fix, I'll fix it, but I'll store somewhere that in this table or in this ID, in this column, instead of this value, I have stored this value. That is first thing that I'll do. Second thing that I'll do, what are the repercussion of that I'll try to follow up. So first, I'll unblock my customer, but second, what I'll do, second thing that I'll try to see that what is the flow of that data or flow of that code even, that by changing that data, am I missing something? It might have happened that data is coming from some upstream and actual bug is in upstream, and because of that the bug has come into your plate. So you have solved from your plate, but you'll discuss with your upstream as well that, hey, because the wrong data has come from your side, the issue is coming into my side and my API is failing. Your any of the API is not failing. You have just dumped me the data which is wrong. Then probably let's say that API is failing, that API would be processing and creating an event somewhere, right? So when you store or write data, you need to reprocess that information so that your downstream systems will get the real information. So let's say by mistake, the revenue got minus by mistake. You made it positive, which was 3 days back or something like that. You made it positive, you did everything, but then what? Your downstream system also should get affected or reflect the same values. Otherwise, in some other page, the revenue will be negative. But in your page or your API, the revenue would be positive. Then there can be some conflict of data. So the point is, first thing first, if it is very immediate to solve, necessary save one kind of situation, yes, I'll do it. If it is save 3 or save 4 kind of situation, I'll say that no, let's do it properly because no customer is getting blocked or there is no issue which is very burning, right? So at that point I'll say no, but for this I'll say yes, but I'll see the repercussion of that whole. I'll try to find it out what should be doing such that no other issues come later on, as you said, Harsh, that later on some other issues doesn't come up, and I'll keep on marking all the things that what I did. Let's say in table A I changed the data, and then I had to change the data into table B as well or table C as well. I'll keep on marking all the things. And if I find that, okay, after doing only one data fix or two data fixes, everything is fine, it's fine. But if it requires all this kind of thing, processing or calling an events or creating an events for downstream systems and all that things, I will do that. That is also a required task. And then I will raise a bug for my upstream or downstream or something else, such that they will fix the problem at their end. So this would be the right way to discuss that. I'll do it as well if it is very much necessary. And I don't do it as well because, as you said, it will be later headache for me only if I do it wrongly. So you need to know the flow of that whole system. If you don't know, I'll try to find it out and then I'll fix it. That would be a right way to say what you will do in this behavioral round of question. So there are many such other questions as well. Let's say, and the question which we discussed, okay, about what you will do in such kind of case when your TL asks you to do the things like this and things like this. Why people generally ask this question is because you might have seen that you have tech debts. What you said, Harsh.
Yeah.
That you fix some bug,
Yeah.
but still, or you might have done the patch, and that has created something wrong in your architecture. That let's say your function A should work like only this, but in a code as well, just because it was creating some issue into thing, you just wrote it down some if condition such that that exception doesn't happen, and your code is working, but actually it is not the right way to code, right? And that because of that, overall your code will be gradually slow, right? So this kind of things are happening into industries, and that's why after a few years, every few years, around 4 5 years, 3 to 4 years generally, each components are getting redesigned. Like even in Amazon, like even if like in UI you see everything same, but in the backend, the whole architecture people are changing at every 4 to 5 years. At every 4 to 5 years, people are changing the whole architecture. They will change the team itself. And the previous team, instead of previous team, new team will come up. They will face some problem and they will try to redesign the whole architecture. At the end, it will work the same, but the architecture will be different such that it will be much faster. It will be much scalable, and all such kind of problems would have been solved. So that's why they ask that which kind of approach always you are choosing. Are you choosing always a shortcut? Are you choosing, or do you have even all the steps in your mind that I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this? And because of that, at least I won't create a problem, or I won't create another bug from another team, right? So they will try to ask these questions.
Yeah.
I'll still think about some of the questions, no worries. Okay. And when we'll take one-on-one interviews, okay, probably I'll ask more questions one-on-one. Whenever you want to go for interview, you think you're ready, we'll have one or two mock interviews such that you can go with a little bit of confidence that
So is this so this interview would be like a proper data
just
structure
like
and algorithm, and then you'll have design round, and then you'll have behavioral and
so
all that.
anything. So it's something
All of
like
them or just one of them?
exactly. It can be anything. So let's say
Okay, fine.
let's say you are going for Walmart's interview and you have data structure rounds things, right? So you just want to be sure before data structures round, 15 days before that, are you prepared or not? I would take your DS round. Afterwards, you have system design round. Let's say after 1 week, I'll take your one round of system design. So it can be separate as well. And you just want to see that how much you are prepared, and we can have all together as well, probably 1.5 hour or 2 hour. Okay, so based upon how you are ready, when your interviews are, I would say in that way, we'll try to take a mock interviews. So individually, you guys will have to set up one-on-one with me whenever you are free, whenever you are prepared. You have solved all the type of DS, few questions which we have taken so far, and then we will take. So let's say if you say that, hey, I'm going for the Facebook interview, I'm not myself prepared for Facebook interview, then I'll say, hey man, I'm not eligible to take your FB for
I cancel
FB.
mine.
Yeah, right. So I'll tell for that. But let's say if you say that, okay, for some company I'm going, I'll try to read that which kind of questions they're asking, and then relevant some mock interview I'll take. Or if you say that, okay, in general you take my mock interview for DS and system design, then in general I'll take, in which one of the question will be from topic A and topic B and from system design, something like that. So in that way we'll take mock interviews. At that time also we can discuss about this leadership principles. But I have seen leadership principles because my brother is in US, so there was also different startups are asking the questions which are modeled on Amazon leadership principle. So that's why I have taken example of Amazon's leadership principle only, which can be, applied to you. So read about those and have what would I say, that few examples in your mind. Okay, let me open Amazon leadership principles. Say, so yeah, there is a customer obsession, ownership, invent and simplify are right a lot. So this is generally for SD3s and later on. Be learn and be curious. So that shows that you are doing something more, or let's say you are not asked to do, but still you did. So have an examples for some which is relevant to you, like hire and develop the best. Probably you guys would be doing. Insist on higher standards, that everyone should do. That one of the question was that which we discussed, that I'm insisting on higher standards of the code. Rather than fixing like this, I will go and fix like this, but if it is very urgent, I will fix it. And that was bias for action. That I'm biased for my action, though it is wrong, I'll do it because it's necessary for business. I did it, but I'll insist on my higher standards, so later on I'll come back and I'll fix it in proper way. So in that way you have two leadership principles in one question. How you will try to solve when your TL says fix it like this, and you know that it is crucial, it has to be done, but also you know that it is wrong in terms of architecture. How will you solve that problem? You'll solve in this way. You'll solve it as we discussed, which is bias for action, but you insisted on higher standards and you came back and you fix it properly with terms of like calling your upper level team and telling them that, okay, your database was wrong, you are giving us wrong data, and then calling your downstream system as well and giving them the right data. So in that way you fixed it properly. So I would say that, okay, read about those and have in your examples in your mind that in for this project, for this kind of scenario, I did it like this for this project, because then scenarios will be based upon your individual projects. And that, trust me, if you fake it in interview, we will very perfectly catch it. Obviously not me, I have taken like in 2-3 years very few design rounds, okay, but those like architectures or managers who are taking from 7-10 years, they will take it, they will fetch it very, fetch it from you, that are you faking it or are you genuinely writing it. So if you have done those kind of work, prepare the questions and the answers in your mind that, okay, for such kind of thing, I'll speak this. For such kind of things, I'll take that example, which I have done on those days in this project. So those things should be there into your mind, because that thing directly will not come into interview. Your memory will not, fetch it. Your brain will not fetch it. You'll have to prepare it. Like frugality probably is not applicable to you. Earn trust, that is okay, probably not for the developers. Dive deep, that is for everyone. And that dive deep also being shown on the same example, that I understood that why this bug came, and I created the bug on my upstream and downstream as well. So like that. Have backbone, disagree and commit. That is something very interesting. And that is where we discussed about this, that if your manager says like this and you think you are right, then you should have backbone. You should disagree, but you should commit to what you say. You make yourself correct by taking the proof, and then you solve it the right way, or you design it the right way, or you upgrade your design the right way. That is have backbone, disagree and commit. So they will ask the question and they'll try to see, are you fitting into some of the leadership principles? Obviously everyone has to deliver the result. So in few of them, they will try to ask the questions, they will try to model the questions, and in discussion also, they will try to take you towards that side where they will try to find it out what you would have done on insist on higher standards, what you have done on bias for action, what you would have done for have backbone and disagree and commit. Okay, so these things Amazon has diversified that. Okay, in this leadership principle, put that. But in other companies, they do not have leadership principle, but still they will take this as their reference, and they will take an interview such that you are solving, or you have some what you can say, some principles out of this, some experience in which some this leadership principles are getting fit into. So in that way, you just be ready for your behavioral rounds as well. Yep. Okay, so
Dhaval, one last question. Means I'm having like experience of 4 years. Means till when I'll be eligible for SD2 only? Means till
now
when?
you are for SD2, but
Okay.
it depends. For Amazon, probably not. Probably not. In Amazon, from 1 to 3 years, they will go for SD1, but for 4 years of experience, they are slightly hesitated to put you into SD1 because you have crossed the bar of SD1. But if they'll put you into SD2, are you meeting the criteria of SD2 or not? When I have given an interview, I was meeting for SD3. My manager, when I joined afterwards, that my hiring manager told me, why you have not applied for SD3? You were qualified for SD3. Okay, but I was not confident enough for SD3 because of at that time I had only 6 or 7 years of experience. So I was also in same way, because around 7 years to 8 years you will become SD3 there.
Oh, is it all around the world or just India?
Probably all around the world.
Okay, fine.
Okay,
So
so
how about 7.5, I think. And
so then probably they will try to see towards your SD3, but probably HR or SD for some round they might have felt that, okay, I'm not fit for SD3, so my final rounds were taken for SD2 and I qualified. And then I was thinking that, okay, I'll go for SD3 within 1 or 1.5 years. So generally they will mix up few of the things, and if your luck is good, they will take your interview for SD2. But if you're failing in something, they will say that, okay, still we are considering you for SD1 because you are very good in coding, you are very good in DS, but you're okay into system design, so that we are taking you into SD1. If your luck is good and also your few rounds went very well. So I would say that you try for SD2. If not, then SD1 is fine. But some other companies, say Flipkart, say Walmart, probably SD2 is the final go. Apart from that, you should not. Like Microsoft is SD 261 level, I would
Sorry,
say.
Dhaval. For Microsoft, what did you say?
So it's Microsoft, it has something like this. Microsoft has level 60, sorry, SD1.
Mhm.
It has two level, 659 and 60. Then SD2 have two level, 61 and 62. Then SD3 has, oh sorry, senior software developer, SSD, senior software developer has 63 and 64 and so on. So each role have two levels. So probably for this level you will go.
Okay.
And how do they make sure that you progress? Do they help you develop your skills so that you go from one
So
kind of
I,
job responsibility to another, or one post to another?
I would say like this, that I have seen in my career that generally they say that we will, but no one does.
Even Microsoft doesn't.
So Microsoft, I would say like this, that if you have good manager,
Oh yeah, okay.
they would
That's
do
the
it.
same all around the world then.
In Amazon, I have felt it that my manager was so bad that I eventually thought that okay, my startup will be better idea to do so. Okay, Amazon was my dream company, and leaving that company was pain, but I had to, because I felt that if such toxic environment is there, it will affect my health.
Oh,
And yes, it was such toxic.
could
So
you have not moved from one department to another within
I I
the?
I would say you have read about Blind. You know about the Blind app.
Oh no.
So it's like you can log in into Blind only from your corporate account, but
Okay.
your identity and everything will be totally encrypted. They are making sure for it. Okay, and it's in a Blind app. You read about what are the people are telling about moving into different teams.
Ah, it's bad.
It's painful. Amazon's culture is one of the most toxic in the world.
Oh, is it?
Yes, one of the most.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's a culture.
It's
So
just they just push you hard.
it's not about work. It's about overall culture. It's something like this. I would say like this, that um, uh, if you have to evaluate a company, I would evaluate like this: how many calls you are getting for that company every month.
Okay.
So I have seen that for Amazon, for the same team, every month they would call you, because people will move around or people will leave very
Ah,
frequently.
okay. High turnover on that team, so maybe it's a rubbish team.
So high number of volume comes and high number of people goes, and that is true for Amazon. That's not true for Oracle. That's not true for Microsoft.
But Oracle
People
is
come
very backward, isn't it?
nowadays. It's not that people have updated it, but it was slow. I agree. When I was there at that point of time, it was slow. Nowadays, it's not. They have taken a pace. Now they are working into good projects. They are delivering the good projects. Yes.
Actually, now Oracle will be moving from actually something that they are calling as Spectra, which is
Mhm.
similar to microservice. So I can say that currently it is little. Actually, the environment culture is very good in Oracle.
Yes. Yes.
That I can say. You don't have to take the tension about it. But the only thing is, right now it is a very good thing that I am hearing that they are going to move from ADF to Spectra, which is a very much upgraded version. It's what currently is being used everywhere.
Yeah. So they were a little bit slow. Like ADF started around 7 years back, but
Yes, yes.
the thing is that it's a good company if you want to live a little bit peacefully. So not just about Oracle. I would say many companies are like that. So you need to read about those things, that how the experience of other guys as well. So the one of the best place I found is Blind. Okay, so install that app. It's a good place. Even on web page also you can read about those. Not sure.
Okay, blind is about like something like
App.
Glassdoor.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
So where were we actually? Yeah. So they say that they will help you, but generally they don't. But I have seen like so far in Microsoft that if your manager is good and you are getting good project, they will try to help you. But it is always something like this. They will try to give you once. If you can, it's fine. If you cannot, then next time it won't be your chance because there are many people standing in a queue.
So for example, if someone has 7 to 8 years of experience, do all the companies see what you earned prior to your new job, or do they always pay at a certain level? For example, I've heard like if you join Google, they give you a base of 120 in the UK at least, and based on your experience, they'll keep raising it up to 200K. Is it the same in India, like for Microsoft, Amazon?
So it was not same for
Okay.
some companies. Nowadays, people are going for the same kind of approach of US and UK.
Okay.
Why? Because when the startups came, they had huge funding. So what used to happen is like Flipkart itself, okay, like one of my friend, his salary was, so he was college graduate, okay, so his salary was approximately around 18 lakh, okay. And when I joined, my salary was as an SD2 with 5-6 years of experience in Flipkart, my salary was just little bit above him. And I was like, hey, I feel like a college graduate with just 1 or 1.5 years of experience is getting much more than me, kind of relatively. Okay. And then I stayed in Flipkart for around 2 years, and he also with me. So he had almost 3 years of experience then, or 2.5 years of experience in Flipkart. And then he moved to one of the startup, Swiggy. And then he had 30 lakhs package that I don't have right now as well.
What? I thought you had more. I thought you had 50.
No. So point is,
After so much knowledge.
So that's what I'm telling you, that Microsoft and all that companies have some base that, okay, for this level and this number of years of experience, you will get maximum, let's say 26 or 28.
I'm not
That's
coming
it.
to India. I'm in UK. I'm not coming to India. This is shit pay.
This is literally like that. Plus
That's
some
bad pay.
stocks.
That's what I earned when I was a junior here.
Then you'll get some stocks and something like that. So this is now just like US and UK, the way you are telling. In India also people are going, because now startups doesn't have that much fund
Because
that
in
they will throw you.
Oyo people earn a lot of money then.
Probably.
People in
Yes.
Oyo, similar experience or less, they're getting 30 or more actually.
Yes, I have heard like many companies are like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it happens. In which company you are, which kind of culture you are, what are their standards. Nowadays, people are moving towards uniform standards, as it was in US and UK. And startups are there, which gives more money, but you have to choose the startup life I have lived, or uh, MNC life where something will be something will be at ease.
Okay, yeah. It becomes very slow. So you can enjoy your family life.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you're single, go for startup. When you're not single, go for MNC.
MNC, yes.
And if you don't want to enjoy anything, start your own company.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Fine. Okay. So just 30 lakhs, that's a bit, that's a surprise because I heard like lots of companies paying 50 for your experience in India and Hyderabad especially.
Yes. One of my friend who started after me has 60 right now. He's in Mumbai though, but
Okay.
in a different company. He's in Forbes.
Forbes, okay. The
Yeah.
magazine.
Yeah, Forbes magazine. So they have an India division as well for some other kind of business, not magazine, some other business. So he has around 60.
Is he a developer?
He's designer.
Like a front-end designer, like uses Photoshop and InDesign and all that.
So he's like both front end, UX, and everything.
Oh, so that's different. That's the bread and butter
That's a
for.
different, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's always like that. Little bit different in terms of technology, number of years of experience, company. Then the pay would be different. But it's fine. Whatever we are.
yeah, definitely. It is fine. But
Yeah.
okay.
It's like,
Yeah, okay, fine.
okay. So we'll stop our discussion today over here. We can meet anytime you have just any question, just do ping me. I'm on the same WhatsApp. Okay. Do you have any interview in next couple of days, couple of months? Do let me know for the mock interviews or something like that. You are reading some good questions. Do ping in the WhatsApp. How will you solve that? How will you try to solve that question? Probably from the lead code, I would say the best. Okay. And yes, if you have any other questions, do ask me directly. We'll try to solve it whenever I'll be free. And obviously for the mock interviews as well, whenever I'll be free, I'll try to find it out the time and we'll discuss. Okay. So in that way, we'll try to take it forward. Sure.
Sure, Dhaval.
Sure. Okay.
Actually,
We'll,
it has been like 3 or 4 months
yeah.
reading all these things.
Anurag is
A
going to
very nice
cry
experience. No,
Yeah.
no, it's not like.
now. Come on, Anurag, give us a performance.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, Jose left. It's just us.
Yeah. It's just us.
People just leave without telling. Okay.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's like I have always seen when it was my 13th batch. I have always seen that after DP, generally people's after the 10th,
Motivation.
yeah, motivation goes very very low. So after
It
8,
killed me as well. DP killed me completely.
after DP,
After DP, I didn't get anything.
so then people join just for few people only join. Like half of the batch doesn't join after DP. I have seen.
Oh, wow. I think that kills the motivation. That makes you feel like shit, I think.
But what I always feel is that dynamic programming is something very very nice to understand, and after that the person's I would say motivation would be on the higher side. That okay,
Yeah.
I'll try to read some. I'll try to gain something more as well.
Yeah. I think from try, I don't know what you took from try. I didn't get much. I didn't. Till try, I was good. When you explained, it was fine. After try and dynamic programming, some stuff was okay, but then afterwards, I was like, my goodness, this is just going over the top completely. I think only Anurag was following it. That's why I thought like Anurag is gonna cry now.
But still, Harsh, I
No.
would say that yeah. So I have discussed with Anurag separately as well. So he's always reading the questions whenever
Yeah.
he's freeing. So because of that, he could grasp many
A
things.
lot more. Yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't do that, but
yeah.
I'm fine with designing. I'm decent with designing because I've done that a lot at work. But with data structure, I'm okay till certain data structures, and after that, it just goes downhill.
But yeah, I would recommend that still go through, even if you do not go through video, just uh, go through some videos such that you have that uh, the logic in which direction you need to think for DP, the logic in which direction you need to think for backtracking and
Yeah.
2D metrics. Okay,
Yeah.
because when you go for probably right now you have 7 or 8 years of experience, but after 2-3 years, probably people will not ask that much high uh, data structure question. Okay, then only design will be required from you majorly, but still 1 or 2 questions you will expect into data structure just to see that your acumen in problem solving,
Yeah.
do you have that or not. So probably after 2-3 years or 2 years, they will not ask you DP, but they will certainly ask you some good level of questions with the try or heap probably, and 2D metrics probably as well.
Yeah.
Recursion will be there always. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Recursion. Recursion was still okay. I think the dynamic programming was the biggest killer. I think completely destroyed. And I think I enjoyed like certain parts when things were from the scratch, like when it was not completely built upon something else. And if I didn't, for example, if I missed a lecture, and so I just missed, I think, one lecture. I just was very sleepy. I just missed one lecture in 4 months. So after that, you explained something, I just didn't get it. So that way, I think if you keep focusing on if I keep focusing on what you were doing, and if I would have continued like some kind of homework afterwards, it's easy. But I still think like people who don't have any background, because I think Anurag has quite a lot of background. If we had a chat, we do have a chat every now and then, and I did find out that he's got a quite a lot of background actually, which he has done himself. So he's first done it at university, then he did a couple of courses by himself, and he's quite well versed with all those things. I'm sure he doesn't remember everything, but then sometimes what happens when you're familiar with something, it's easier for you to assimilate the new concepts. Whereas I came with a complete fresh mind.
Yes.
Like I did some data structures, but nothing to that level because I did BCA. BCA, they an old course.
They
They
don't,
didn't,
yeah.
yeah, they did not follow anything. And even in the masters here, I did advanced stuff, but I did not do data structures and all that. So I was completely naive. Like I was like, whoa, this is all. Every time you say something, I used to be like, wow, this can be done as well. So I think people, it would be quite good, like for people if they join your class from next time, you should probably ask them what level you have, because that way it becomes less of a. I think it becomes like everyone will come on the same level, if not worse. Like if not, I don't know if I'm making sense, but it's just more like, so if someone doesn't know anything, it's good because then they will accept all the ways you're teaching, and they won't have any kind of preconceived ideas about whatever you are teaching right now. But then they will lack on certain subjects where they need some extra knowledge, and which you can't give because you have a class of 10 to teach, right? You can't go one by one and be specific to each and everyone. Even if you take sessions afterwards, it's not enough. So I think someone like me, someone from BCA background or someone with BSc who didn't have data structures when they were studying, I think for them, if you suggest some course, or maybe actually this would be best if you create your own course of basics.
Yes.
That would be great. You were doing that, right? You were creating a self-paced course, and then you decided to do another batch.
Yeah. So now my target is that only. That
Okay.
I'll try to create some free course in which very basic stuff
Yeah. Just
will be
basic, just
taught.
basic. Yeah. As
And
long as so it'd be like a stepping stone, right? So
yes,
you should say like, before joining, if you have another, for example, you have batch 14. Let's just say you have batch 14. Yeah. So some people are like Anurag, some people are like me, some people are like other people who are in between, right? So if you just tell them like, go through this, and then this way it'll be like it will bring everyone to the same level, kind of. And
yep.
then you can take it from there, and it'd be easier for you to explain as well. Otherwise people like will keep harassing you in the class.
No, you're not harassing, but yeah, it will be beneficial for everyone. So that I so actually so far um, I haven't thought that such kind of things will be necessary, but
Yeah. I think many people, I think probably engineers only try to do these classes. BCA
yes,
people probably
probably.
just go to like business courses or whatever, I don't know.
Yes.
But I'm the only one who stuck to technical.
So it's not like that, but I found it out that yeah, it would be a good thing for even students. So we have
Yeah,
Suman,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So for
definitely.
them as well, it will be good course. So I was thinking the same thing, but still, Harsh, I would say for you, okay, that if you think that still you are not at the same level, okay, obviously right now not 100%, but the more you will keep on going on the same data structures. So I would say about me, why I'm telling you always that you should keep on going is because when I started giving interviews of Microsoft and
Hmm.
Amazon, I was
Hmm.
at the same level of you
Hmm.
who joined my session 4 months back.
Hmm.
I did not know anything.
Hmm.
Like when I was in college, NIT Warangal, even very few things I knew.
Hmm.
Probably, probably like up to uh, three. That's it. Not more than that. And then I
Really?
started, yeah, and then I started gaining knowledge. So what happened in my college? I failed in Amazon's last round. Data structures last round was there, and then I understood that where I'm lagging. I
Hmm.
started building up my knowledge from scratch. Like, okay, now let me read about 2D metrics, dynamic programming, and all the things. Dynamic programming was one of the toughest. Why? Because I still remember when I was in Oracle at that time. Also, DP was very tough for me. Me and my friends used to try but it was very difficult for us.
Mm.
And then gradually in the sense, in this many years, I build up my DS knowledge such that I'm giving someone some knowledge.
Oh
So
yeah. Mm.
what I would say to you is that it's not impossible. Okay, I have given you what I knew. Probably in future, let's say you go one step ahead, and you, after try, you started for 2D metrics, you gain some basic knowledge, and on top of that you see my videos, it will be helpful to you. And even, let's say, even for the basics, sometimes let's say you need my help still,
Mhm.
I'll be there for you. Okay, it's not for
Okay.
you only, it's for everyone else. Well, only 2 hours watching my session, but I always say to everyone that I'll always be there for you guys, that
Oh,
even after our sessions are complete, if you need my help, that okay, I need to understand this topic again, give me 15 minutes of overview, or just teach me 10-15 minutes, I'll be there. I'll try to find it out time and I'll give you.
okay.
Okay, but have that pace going on. Okay, that with whatever the pace you are progressing, keep on progressing. I would say that okay, right now you're stuck at try or tree, then still solve the problem till tree or try.
Actually, I'm stuck at. I have not done proper thing even from the array. I need to start from scratch properly.
Start
So
from there. Start from the array, no worries. If you are stuck again, even after watching my video, do ping me. i'll
so
i'll,
do you
I'll I'll
think I
push
should
you.
just, yeah, okay? So should I? So I should just start watching the video and then just carry on like that, or should I do some other way to expedite the process?
I would say to expedite the project process, rather than watching the videos of 2 hours every day, we have so many discussions went on, right? Either
Mhm.
you can fast forward the videos, let's just like see the question, whatever I'm taking, think that how will you solve. i
Yeah,
would i would say like that, think that how will you solve. If you can solve it,
yeah.
it's fine. Skip 10-15 minutes, 20 minutes, and see that whatever my solution and your solution is meeting or not,
Okay,
and go ahead,
yeah,
complete it. And
okay.
if not, then only see my video. That would be first way to go ahead with the videos. Then second way would be, whenever my array is completing, or let's say up to uh, array and some topics are getting completed, okay,
Mm.
solve some questions from net.
Mm.
Let's say lead code array questions you solved,
Hmm.
then some other array questions you solved, let's say career cup and array question you solved, like that. You find good question, see that it only needs array and stack, or array and queue, that kind of combination, and try to solve those.
Mm.
And that you can find it out from lead code and geeks for geeks both, because it has a tag associated with that, that this question needs array and dynamic programming. Don't solve that, solve only array and stack, array and queue, and array and tree, that kind of things. Got it?
Mhm.
Then you go ahead with the next type of questions. Don't solve red black tree, just solve tree and binary search tree. Then solve tree and heap,
Yeah.
or priority queue, and then solve tree and dynamic programming when you complete the dynamic programming. So see the tags which are associated with that. In lead code it is also there, geeks for geeks is also there.
Geeks for geeks. I don't know. I just don't trust sometimes. Is
So
it trustworthy? Like,
no,
it's because one of the. I mean, I, I don't know. The quality is not there.
so I myself have found that many times the solutions that they have created are wrong. It's
Okay.
compilable, but they are wrong,
Yeah.
because for some test cases they are producing the wrong output, and I have commented many times. But it has a huge questions, so at least we can
Yeah.
see the question, different type of questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably the solution may not be 100% correct. Let's say 80% of the solutions are right, but still we should go for that 80% at least, or for the new questions at least,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. I agree. I'll just get lead code once I've refreshed the videos and I'm at a
And
certain level, and then I'll get lead
before
code.
lead code, before buying the lead code as well, just see that there are 200 open questions out there in lead code.
Yeah.
Try to solve those first,
Okay. Cool.
right?
Yeah.
And yeah, in that way you should go ahead, quickly see the videos quickly, and and then start solving the problem, because the more you'll solve the problem, the more you'll get the confidence.
Yeah.